Good evening. So, after the city tour of Glasgow, we are now moving towards the Glasgow Cathedral. So, as we know, Glasgow Cathedral stands near the heart of the Scotland's largest city. It's the only medieval cathedral on the Scottish mainland to have survived the Protestant Reformation of 1560, and it is virtually intact. They say that the building of Glasgow Cathedral began in 1136 and it took almost 350 years to finish. This cathedral is dedicated to Saint Mungo or Kentigern, a Christian missionary in the area during the 6th century AD. His tomb has attracted a lot of pilgrims all over. Therefore, the site was already seen as a holy and a source of grace. The Gothic cathedral architecture embodied the outreach of the gospel and the entire process of the salvation of the troubled humanity. The Roman Catholic Latin Mass represented this liturgy. With the Protestant Reformation, there were a lot of dramatic changes. There was even a switch from the liturgy and ceremony to a plain service of Bible lessons, preaching, prayer to God alone, and etc. etc. The reformers even cleared the building's interiors of all pictures, statues, and numerous chapels. The Reformed Church of Scotland took a long time to decide whether its ministry should be exercised by the bishops and the priest in the diocese or by the bishops and elders in the presbyteries. In 1690, Presbyterian system became definitive. Subsequently, bishops and the Episcopalian order had no further role. Let's enjoy this beautiful church from the outside. You can see that nice church among those beautiful plantations outside. So once we see it, then we will start moving towards the George Square. That I will explain you once we see this. So now we are at the George Square. This is the principal civic square in the city of Glasgow. It's one of the 6 squares in the city centre. Others are the Cathedral Square, the Andrew Square, the Enoch Square, Royal Exchange Square, and the Blythswood Hill. Named after King George III and initially laid out in 1781 and probably not developed for the next 20 years, George Square is surrounded by the architecturally important buildings, including on the east side the palatial municipal chambers, also known as the city chambers. I think foundation was laid somewhere in 1883, and on the west side there is a merchant house built by the Glasgow Corporation. The chambers are the continuing headquarters of Glasgow City Council. So medieval Glasgow had a large number of common pasture to the west and north of the city. Every day the town herd took the cattle of the burghers along an unpaved road called Cow Lane, which led from the Trongate Westport to the pasture on the common, then to the cow cadons where the cattle were milked in the evening before returning. So long, narrow back gardens or ricks ran north of from the Tongate properties, forming the Landcroft area. Along its northern boundary, Backhoe Lawn provided an alternative route from the High Street. The Kowloon actually ran north between the medieval flatlands and the Ramshorn Croft, which was bounded to the north by the Rotten Hope Lane and on the east side by the Deanside Bread, down via Gay Frere Wind Street. Now these lands become George Hutchison's property in 1609. Hutchison's hospital tried to lease this area to some small crofts or gardeners, but eventually in 1772 the city magistrate brought these lands under Ramshorn and Meadow Flats. From 1750 onwards, the wealth from tobacco, sugar, cotton brought a lot of rapid expansion westwards. Then the new streets start laying down on the ricks, including many things like Virginia Street in 1753, Miller Street in 1762. So the Kowloon, impassable in the wet weather, was renamed as Queen Street after Queen Charlotte in 1766. Subsequently in 1772, this was changed and named as Ingram Street. In that year, the town surveyor James Berry produced a grid plan for the Ramshorn lands. Similar plan development in London and Craig's 1766 guided plan to Edinburgh's Newtown. The Barry produced another plan in 1781 and 1782. Glasgow's council adopted a grid incorporating a large square. That's how this square has come in. What a beautiful square is this. In 1782, a house of two families was built in George Square. There was a 4-year pause after the rapid growth. Then, the projected expansion of the Queen Street, a large mansion was built around 1783, just south of Rotten Lane. The George Square, as it was known initially, was named after King George III, I told you. Then the new streets started coming called as Hanover Street, Frederick Street and other things. Around 1790, the developments north of Tongate became Glasgow's new town. Between 1787 and 1820, Georgian terraces were built around the perimeter of the George Square. So, let me also, instead of telling a lot of histories, let us enjoy the walking around this square. Plus, also start, observing the beautiful square where people come and sit and enjoy those places. Amazing.